Hello world, it's TheGamingCentaur here, and welcome back to another art time-lapse video. This time, I'm actually going to do things a little bit different. Instead of me just basically going like little bits in here throughout the entire thing, like commentating on certain bits, this time I'm just going to do the entire thing in one commentary because I honestly feel like that might be a bit better for it. So I'm going to try this out for free of my art time-lapse videos, and in the end, let me know what you guys think about this. And honestly, like a little bit of a tangent here, I honestly feel like if people are going to do a bit of change and then ask for feedback, do it 3 times and just see if your audience likes it, because honestly, at first, of course, people are just going to be like, oh no, I do not like this, but honestly, just give them time to like adjust to it and then see if they prefer it over the old or if they want to go back to it. So that's basically it. So this is one of the artworks that I'm sorry if I do stumble about this. It is actually 1:10 a.m. in the morning because I ended up spending the majority of my day kind of just lounging about and working on more on art that I wish I recorded, honestly. But back to this. This actually is one of my characters, Claudia Cinderson, in one of her forms. This form actually is something that I came up with the same day I got back into the inspiration to work on Claudia's ninja form, which I had established and even put on Toy House, but I never really got around to it again. So this is me just basically working on a form that I got the same day inspiration. Oh god, this is a bad idea. Oh well, I'm going to keep going with it. And the reason why this idea came about is because I was watching Gaijin Goomba at the time, and I was like, yeah, how about I do this little maze form? And I thought it was actually a really cool idea. So I decided, hey, let's do this. This would be very visually interesting, and I really liked how it came out. I think this took about like 8 hours in total. I think. I didn't check before. Oh, first time doing it is off to a great start. So this is basically what I call the Mage form, which is it's kind of Mage form-esque. It's more Eastern Mage-esque because I want to go with Kitsune 5 with the 9 tails because I thought that looked very elegant with her, and I wanted to do that. And so basically I wanted to try to do that. And so oh god, sorry about that. And so that's basically what we have here today. Right now, this is my new way of doing it, basically using a 3D model to help model it all out. And the best thing to use for like a staff or anything, get a broom. Get a broom and have it do it like this. Right now, I'm actually going through the sketch lines and actually erasing bits of it so I can help with like lining over it later. Because honestly, like first sketch and then lining, and honestly that actually makes everything come off much better in the end. So, god. The ponytail for Claudia is always this like complicated like mesh, and I was actually worried that like by erasing that bit, it was actually going to be quite irritating to do. So this is going to be show up also later, but the color that I chose for the fur of the Nine Tails is actually yellow. It is similar to another sort of nine-tailed creature, mainly someone from Digimon, I know, but honestly, I felt like keeping it blonde would best fit because her hair is blonde, and so that would be a good connection. And honestly, in the tips are a lighter blue because I also wanted to keep a bit of her genie magic in there. And oh, excuse me. And all in all, I think it actually comes out really damn good. And this, I need to remind myself again, this is one of the earlier pictures I did in Clip Studio Paint, and now it's basically almost second nature using it now, and it's fantastic, honestly. And Here's something I've actually started doing here, but I have now continued doing. I no longer do the heavy black for the lines. I think I mentioned that in a previous video, but honestly, it makes the image come out much better in the end, in my opinion, because it's not a dense, dark background, and so it comes off a lot better. I will say this, that like I'm glad I did chose like stabilization 100 for like these for the pen that I normally use, which is a modified G pen, so that basically you do get some of the tips, but it's not all like covered. Also, this is actually one of those images where I basically had to grab, I did grab some reference images beforehand so that I could just easily like do this much better. I basically used Gaijin Gyouban as like the biggest influence for this, because I knew it was going to be like, okay, which one, what does this say, what's the name for this, what's the name for that, and just went along with that and hope for the best, basically. And wow, I'm glad this all came out in the end. Honestly, the coloring is where this all shines, and the shading part. What I normally do for shading is basically just like, okay, we go with black or white, okay, then change the layer to soft light, and then we're good. I'm starting to get out of that now, but I still do use it here, which is fine, honestly. It's fine because it ends up getting the job done, because what it ends up doing is kind of doing this kind of, it ends up doing a sort of semi-transparent kind of vibe over everything, and kind of nicely colors it all. Also, oh yeah, I got a recommendation via chat to basically just start doing the magic wand here, and basically, yeah, it ends up being like, hey, yeah, this is very easy to do, but in the end, I kind of still feel like doing like, yeah, let me just do the brush, because there are some places where the magic brush doesn't go, and it looks super awkward when it doesn't reach there, so, yeah. One of the things that I feel like I need to make sure that I get in there is kind of like her vessel. Claudia's vessel is her weapon. It is basically her tool of the trade with any form she goes with, and it changes with the form. And so I wanted to go with the staff. It's kind of a staff that's normally used for monks, I believe, or at least like to ward off like evil spirits. So I wanted to have something like that, but keep some similarities with her vessel. There's also other things that basically Claudia cannot have about her, like her long bangs with the little knots on them, her ponytail that splits off, and the bang over her eye. Like, those are the main things, not visually, that I feel like always need to be kept with her, not just like the colors, which, yeah, I forget if I like freeform this or if I end up looking at a reference sheet, which honestly is always good to have on hand. I'm so glad I made those back in like 2017, 2018, because those helped out so much later on with like my art and other people. And so, yeah, I think it was like looking out from the screen and just typing in it, because the hex codes are just typed out there. Anyways, probably the hardest part with the coloring process is just finding the right color, because my drawing tablet, it is a screen drawing tablet. It is a Gaomon PD 1161 or 1611. I always mix that up. It's annoying, but basically it's cheaper than a Switch, and I wanted to get that, and so I feel the color can always be a little bit off when you're looking at this, and then you look on the main screen and you're like, oh crap, this looks pretty off. Luckily it does come out better than I think this was the image that I started using like the other paint brushes in order to get that kind of new kind of like feeling to it, like a and make it pop out in some way. And I think I did this to imitate sort of like a little magical element in it, because to help give it a little bit of a different texture. It ended up not working, so I ended up adding some white to it, as you can see here, because I also wanted the tips of the ears to be the same as the tips of the tails. And honestly, I really like how I did with it. Oh my god, the detail! I forgot about this. Like the little detailing here and there, because like, yeah, that's it. I feel like very important to do later on, and I have done that actually in a very recent picture that I did that is currently in storage. And honestly, the Opacity Tool is one of the best things about this digital, because you can say high or low, and it basically helps with conveying the same kind of almost amount of detail in it. A lot of holes here. I think another thing that I ended up start using here, I don't think just with Claudia's eyes, but throughout, is the pattern tool. It's basically something that I never thought would be like, you know, that major, but later on it actually becomes a extremely useful tool. And use it here similar to like a star pattern. No, that's what I'm using right now. A flowery pattern normally seen on kimonos. Right here, I'm just comparing sparkles and stars, trying to see if I can like mix the two together. And then I basically just go back to using like the stars, because like sparkles there didn't look as visually interesting. But anyways, yeah, that's basically what I wanted to do, because I didn't want to do like I didn't want to do flowers, because I felt like that didn't fit Claudia as much. So I basically went with the good try to method of, hey, let me go with stars, because genies are technically kind of like more spiritual or more cosmic in some cases, at least how I always end up treating them. And I think it came out really damn well. The shading here, honestly, I feel like it did. It's probably one of my better jobs when it comes to shading, when it comes to my artwork, at least this early on. And honestly, like, it takes a while, but I would say it almost takes about the same amount of time as coloring and lining / sketching, which, like, it depends on just how complex the your saying is, or how it is. But for me, it takes about the same amount of time. For other people, it might be longer, etc., etc. Oh, I think later on I end up sprinkling in some some sparkles onto the tail tips, because it didn't feel like it felt naked without them. So I did add them in later on. I actually think like the hardest part for the shading process, I think, was the dress, just because there's like little bits here and there that like some parts can't really touch it, some parts really conflict with each other, and so you need to make sure that like, just what I did do with the little selection tool, you have to make sure that it doesn't really touch much. We are reaching the end, but what I'll say is that I did add a little spirit fire to her tail, because I felt like that would be really cool to like show off, and I ended up also using a painted background behind her, painted, like a semi-colored like background, and I think that really made the picture look much better, much more visually interesting later on. In comparison to just a blank background, it's much better. If there's any like one part that I am the most proud of when it comes to this, I would say it's again the kimono, just because like this was kind of like my earlier attempts to like try to get like a pattern down, get like myself used to Clip Studio Paint, and the pattern tool, like understanding like that made it so much better. If I had to go with a second one, it would probably be trying to figure out how to do metallics right here, because I do know how to do like metallics in the past, but it's Clip Studio Paint and I'm so used to Photoshop, and I'm glad that I was able to at least start figuring out here. And here it is, the final bits. Yeah, I added a little bit of glow effect near the center of the staff, of the circle area of the staff, because I wanted it to stand out much more, give it a more mystical effect. And there you have it. Ugh. Hopefully you guys understand what I was saying. It is now close to 1:30 a.m. and I think I'm going to save this and then faint. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you do enjoy the art. If you want to see myself doing art live, make sure to check out my Twitch streams. I do have art streams actually today at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to support me, donate to me via like the Twitch donations, you can subscribe to me on Twitch, or you can even support me on Patreon. A lot of areas where you can support me or even commission me if you want to. Thank you so much for watching this. I really hope you enjoyed the commentary. Got 2 more left of these. So GG, and I'll see you later.